Are you willing to die for Mr. Beast? That is the question that many are now asking, including major outlets like the New York Times, as his Beast Game show is getting hit with controversy after controversy from seemingly every direction. Right, so like we talked about when it was announced, his reality competition is an Amazon show where 1,000 contestants are competing to win $5 million. Right, I mean, we're talking about the biggest competition series ever, with the largest prize pot ever. But despite how little we officially know about the competition, it's getting a massive spotlight right now in the wake of that whole Ava Chris Tyson controversy. You know, that was when you had YouTuber Rosanna Pansino posting a series of videos saying people involved on the show had reached out to her about safety concerns on the set of the first round in Las Vegas.
So the messages that I have received from contestants on the show are pretty much all telling a similar story, and I find them to be very disturbing. These people are genuinely upset about how things are going. They're scared for not only their own safety, but the safety of their friends who are still competing. They aren't doing this out of spite. They're doing this because they are afraid for themselves and for their friends.
And in that video, she goes on to read a statement from someone who she says is a confirmed contestant of the Beast Games. And that person claiming that there were people who didn't receive their required medication during filming, saying some even had seizures because of it. With that statement going on to say that the contestants weren't given nearly enough food, claiming that they were given roughly 400-calorie meals every 12 hours, saying that water was also scarce and often ran out. With them going on to tell Rosanna that they sat in a bloody pad for 2 days before getting new underwear and supplies. Also claiming that contestants were only allowed to sleep for 3 to 4 hours on cheap sleeping bags on the stadium floor. And the statement also went on to claim that the games themselves were rigged in the favor of young, athletic men over women and elderly contestants. And this because they said all the games were very physical, requiring speed and strength to get ahead. They also then went on to say that during a game involving jerseys, the men started tackling and hitting the women, and that even when 2 girls were passed out on the field, they were dragged off and filming kept going on. This person also saying that people walked out of there with broken bones and needing stitches, and most of those people were women. They then went on to claim that the eliminated contestants were offered $1,000 to sign away their rights to a class action lawsuit, with it also being said that when the story started gaining attention, they were offered another $1,000. Now, in her follow-up videos, Rosanna reads other statements as well from people she said were verified contestants with similar stories, where stories about lack of food, water, people getting trampled, the game skewed towards strong and fast men. But then we also heard that this first round of filming is allegedly for Mr. Beast's YouTube channel rather than the actual show, where you'll have 2,000 contestants being narrowed down to the 1,000 on YouTube, and the actual show will be the 1,000 contestants that Amazon advertised. Right, in these statements, they share that this production was incredibly disorganized, with everyone being told different things and no one really knowing what was going on. With them also going on to claim that the disorganization continued after the game, saying that many people were left stranded without flights or hotels, some even having family drive to Nevada to come pick them up. Rosanna also saying with all this that she reached out to IATSE, the union representing behind-the-scenes workers in entertainment, and claimed that Jimmy was avoiding union workers.
They said that Jimmy and his team specifically requested that Beast Games be non-union. This is for a few reasons. Mainly so Jimmy wouldn't have to pay the crew benefits, but also these unions require very strict safety guidelines. From what I'm hearing as well, Mr. Beast's team was in charge of hiring the crew, and they couldn't find enough non-union people to hire, so they were forced to hire union members. The Mr. Beast team still said they would not pay anyone's benefits.
And I do want to know, like, what I'm doing here, I'm just trying to hit the highlights. Rosanna reads these statements in full, and she says that she's spoken to over 100 people involved in the show. If you want to check out those videos, I'll link to them down below. But also, this is a very big thing. Just in the last few days, this story has become more than just, hey, you got to take Rosanna's word on it. With the New York Times now jumping into this picture, with them reportedly talking to over a dozen contestants from the Beast Games, and there, we also see a lot of the same allegations pop up. Several contestants telling the Times that they hadn't been told how little they would be fed, both in quantity and frequency, with one saying she went over 20 hours without getting anything to eat. Also, one meal that multiple contestants described was a small portion of cold oatmeal, 1 hard-boiled egg, and a few raw vegetable pieces. The Times also reporting that participants estimated they were fed these small portions twice a day on a sporadic basis. And then those with dietary restrictions had even more issues, saying despite filling out a form detailing their food needs before the competition, several contestants said that they were served food that they were allergic to with no alternatives available. And with that, one contestant saying, we signed up for the show, but we didn't sign up for not being fed or watered or treated like human beings. Also, in seeking out medical care or help with food or hygiene issues, some participants reported that the staff were disorganized and often unhelpful. According to one participant, some staff members even yelled and screamed at contestants. And that medication issue was also brought up and somehow made worse. Right, according to the Times, several contestants didn't receive their required medication on time despite production's assurances. And that includes one contestant who needs insulin. Also, several participants had to wait hours or even days to get their clean underwear. One woman telling the Times that she was on her period and asked for underwear more quickly, with the staff then telling her that it wasn't a medical emergency. We also, with the New York Times, saw the Jersey game being brought back up with the crowd pushing and shoving each other and almost trampling people. And then as far as that $1,000 payoff, the Times reported that it was a consolation prize, with one participant even saying that she was filmed accepting the stack of cash but had to give it back, with producers then promising that she would receive her real payment later, but as of when the Times published their article, she hadn't gotten a dime. Now with all this, I also want to note that we had a contestant actually reach out to us to talk about their experience on the set on the condition of staying anonymous, with them initially reaching out because they said they wanted to clear some stuff up because they said that a number of things were being heavily exaggerated, with them going on to claim that things weren't as bad as everyone was making it out to be, saying they expected the show to be hard because the prize is $5 million and others should have as well, saying, quote, "It honestly wasn't that bad, and a lot of the people I spoke to agreed that this was not that bad. People are trying to make this seem like it was some classist issue of Mr. Beast looking at the peasants fight for money, but isn't that like every single game show on television / streaming services?" With them then going on to say the only people who I think have a genuine right to complain about the games are the people who needed medication because that stuff should have been sorted way before. They also then corroborated the meals that were offered, the small thing of oatmeal, veggies, and a single hard-boiled egg. Though they said that they were offered 3 meals a day, totaling roughly 1,200 calories. Also claiming that those with health concerns like diabetes were offered extra food and that there were vegetarian and halal options available. With them adding there that they saw the very small portions as part of the endurance aspect of the game. Though they also said that while the food routine at first was unpredictable, they said that it got better as filming continued. They're saying that there were roughly 8 hours between breakfast and lunch, and then saying the staff tried feeding the contestants before and after the games. They also added that while it wasn't constantly readily accessible within the first 12 hours, water was always available if someone asked staff, claiming that after the initial 12 hours, water was always easily accessible, and during the game, staff would walk around asking if people needed it, saying that production also offered electrolyte options like Gatorade or Liquid IV as well, which was in very short supply at the beginning, but according to this contestant, was readily accessible after the first day. They also confirmed the sleeping situation was rough, right? A cheap sleeping bag on the stadium floor, but they added that there was a lot of downtime for people to catch up on sleep. They're saying that it was bright and loud, but there was between 8 and 12 hours of downtime during the day that they personally used to nap. And then as far as the trampling in the games, this contestant said it did happen, that people got aggressive and staff didn't intervene. But then they also claimed the production sent out an email after filming was done saying that they would review the footage and anyone who was aggressive would be eliminated. And this contestant adding that there were roughly 100 staff members for the 2,000 participants. But then also really stressing multiple times on a call with us that staff didn't have much information. They were doing their best with what they had. With them also telling us, quote, "I spoke to one of the people who got a seizure and he was talking about how they scanned him or whatever and saw that his body was, let's just say, not good and he should not have been on the show in the first place." Importantly, this contestant also confirmed that those who were eliminated had to sign away their rights to a class action lawsuit in order to receive the $1,000 consolation prize, and also claiming production reached out after filming the first round to offer another $1,000, something that this contestant called apology money. Now with all that said, over the weekend, after we talked with this contestant, more and more mainstream outlets began reporting on this situation, with it even getting to the point that the Mr. Beast camp has now responded, saying that the shoot was, quote, "unfortunately complicated by the CrowdStrike incident, extreme weather, and other unexpected logistical and communications issues," with them also adding that Jimmy has started a formal review and taken steps to ensure that we learn from this experience. But also with that said, after that, it seems like this backlash is still only continuing to grow. With, for example, Rosanna even claiming yesterday, Jimmy's production team took every contestant's underwear and medicine from them for some weird reason. They were told they would be given back each night to change, but were not. Multiple female contestants messaged me saying that Beast Game still has her underwear. Disgusting. And so with that, we actually checked back in with our contestant to see if they could back this up. What they claimed is that production asked contestants to pack 5 days worth of underwear in Ziploc bags, with them adding, quote, "so when we got to the arena, we had no underwear except the ones we were wearing," with them then saying that the wait for underwear could be long for some because production was handing out the bags in alphabetical order. But what I will say, the max you'd probably go without your underwear is you waited in line was like 1.5 days. I got mine probably around 36 hours, maybe 48 into the challenge. However, I do know some people had their underwear lost in the shuffle and were unable to receive them at the stadium, and some people were unable to receive them at all because it got lost. I think though that was only a small handful of people. And then also claiming they heard that the eliminated contestants had to wait till the challenge was over to get their underwear back. But for now, that is where we are with this, and we're gonna have to wait to see how this continues to play out, if more information comes out. But in the meantime, I gotta pass the question off to you. What are your thoughts with this whole mess?